Welcome to the deep dive. You've shared your sources with us, and we're all set to pull out the most important, the really interesting bits to get you up to speed quickly.
That's right. Today we're focusing on this document you sent over, The Rich Tapestry of Nepali Culture. We're going to try and, well, really get to the heart of what makes this Himalayan nation tick.
Absolutely. And tapestry feels like the right word. Nepal's culture is just so layered, isn't it? Shaped by history, that amazing geography, different religions coming together, all those distinct ethnic groups.
It really is.
It's a place where, old traditions and modern life seem to coexist in this really vibrant way.
And what's really interesting is how it all weaves together. The document outlines 9 key areas, which gives us a great roadmap for today's deep dive.
Exactly. So we'll be looking at religion and spirituality first, then language and literature, the amazing festivals and celebrations, arts and crafts, music and dance, the cuisine, of course.
Can't forget the food.
Definitely not. Then social structure and family values, dress and adornment, and finally how geography plays its part. Our goal is really to give you a clear, engaging picture, maybe uncover a few surprising facts along the way.
Sounds good.
Okay, let's kick things off with something absolutely fundamental in Nepal, religion and spirituality.
Yes, it's hard to overstate how central religion is to daily life there. Hinduism is the predominant faith. And it's worth remembering, Nepal was, for a long time, the world's only Hindu kingdom.
Right, until fairly recently.
Exactly. Key gods like Shiva, Vishnu, Durga, Ganesh, Kali, they're central figures. And Pashupatinath Temple in Kathmandu is one of the holiest Hindu sites anywhere. Pilgrims come from all over.
And then there's Buddhism, also a huge presence. I mean, Nepal is the birthplace of Lord Buddha in Lumbini.
Precisely. And it's not just history, it's a living faith, especially strong up in the Himalayas with groups like the Sherpas, Tamangs, Gurongs. You've got iconic sites like Swayambhunath, the Moki Temple, and Bhutanath Stupa. Massive, powerful symbols.
What really struck me in the source was this blending, this syncretism between Hinduism and Buddhism.
Oh, absolutely. It's quite unique. You have deities like Makindranath, who are worshipped by both Hindus and Buddhists.
Wow.
And you often find temples and stupas almost side by side. It shows this long history of harmony between the two.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder how that evolved.
It really does, like a cultural synergy. And it's not just those two, is it? The document mentions others: Islam, Curatism.
Curatism, yeah, the ancient faith of the Kirati people.
Christianity and Bon as well. So a real mix beneath the surface.
Definitely. And these beliefs aren't just abstract ideas. They really permeate everyday life. Daily rituals, pujas or prayers, making offerings, chanting.
Pilgrimages, fasting.
Right. And this deep reverence for nature, for animals, especially cows, rivers, you see it in how people interact with the world around them. It's woven into the fabric of life.
Okay, so from the spiritual, let's turn to how people communicate. Language and literature. Nepali is the official language, right? Indo-Aryan, written in the Devanagari script.
That's the one. Same script as Hindi and Sanskrit. But, and this is amazing, the document says there are over 123 mother tongues spoken in Nepal.
Over 123. Seriously.
Seriously. From different language families too, Indo-Aryan, Tibeto-Burman, others. Languages like Maithili, Bhojpuri, Tharu, Tamang, Nuwari. The list goes on. Maithili, Magar, Awadhi, Sherpa. It's an incredible linguistic diversity packed into one country.
That's staggering. It paints such a vivid picture. And literature. The source mentions early Sanskrit influences, which makes sense historically.
And then this figure of Hanabhakta Acharya, the Adikavi, the first poet.
Yeah.
Because he translated the Ramayana into Nepali.
Exactly. That was a huge moment. It helped solidify Nepali as a literary language, gave people this shared cultural touchstone.
Right.
And then modern Nepali literature tackles, everything, social issues, personal feelings, what it means to be Nepali. Writers like Lakshmi Prasad, Devkota, Parijat, B.P. Korlala. They're major names. So Nepali unifies, but you have this incredible richness underneath. Okay, let's switch gears to something that sounds incredibly vibrant: festivals and celebrations. The source calls it a year-round affair.
And it really is. Festivals are huge in Nepal. They're full of energy, tied into religion, community, the seasons, farming, everything.
Take Dashain Vijaya Dashami, the biggest one, right? Longest too. Celebrates good over evil.
That's the core of it.
Yeah.
It's a massive deal. Families get together, there are huge feasts, people fly kites everywhere.
Yeah, the kites and those big bamboo swings, the Lingji Ping.
Yes. And getting blessings from elders, the tika on the forehead, the jamar sprouts. It's all about reinforcing those family and community ties. Really important.
It sounds wonderful. Then there's Tihar, the Festival of Lights over 5 days.
Right, also called Deepawali or Swanti. What's fascinating is how each day honors something different. Crows one day, then dogs, then cows.
Really? Crows and dogs.
Yep. Then Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth. And the last day, Bhai-tika, celebrates the bond between brothers and sisters. Homes are lit up with oil lamps, dios, and colorful lights. It's beautiful.
It must be magical. And Holi, the Festival of Colors. That seems like pure fun.
It is. Marks spring, good over evil again. Everyone just joins in, playfully throwing colored powders and water. It's very joyous, very freeing.
And Tish, that's mainly for Hindu women.
Yes, very significant.
Yeah.
Involves fasting, feasting, traditional singing and dancing, prayers for family well-being.
Then Buddha Jayanti, celebrating Buddha's birth, enlightenment, and passing. Hugely important, especially in Lumbini and the monasteries.
Naturally.
And Indra Jatra in Kathmandu. The newer festival with masked dances, the chariot procession of the Kumari, the living goddess.
That's a major spectacle. Really unique, ancient traditions on display.
And Losar, the new year for Sherpas, Tamangs, Gurungs.
Yet, different Tibeto-Burman groups celebrate their own new year, Losar, each with their own specific customs. And the list goes on. Mahashivaratri, Gai Jatra, Chath Parva. It feels like there's always something being celebrated somewhere in Nepal.
It really reflects that diversity we keep talking about.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
let's shift to the visual. Arts and crafts. Religion seems to be a huge influence here, too.
Absolutely central. Look at the architecture. You have the pagoda style, those multi-tiered roofs, incredible wood carvings. Think of the Natapola temple.
Iconic.
Then the stupa style, the dome shape with the Buddha eyes, like Buddhanath and Swayambhunath.
Very distinctive.
And the Shikara style, those tall, tapering towers like the Krishna Mandir in Patan. Each style tells a story of faith and incredible skill.
Just those styles speak volumes. And painting, Thanka paintings, or Poha, the source calls them, those intricate scrolls.
Depicting Buddhist and Hindu themes. They require unbelievable patience and skill. They're both religious objects and amazing art.
And Mithila art, from the Terai region. Colorful folk art, often by women.
Yes, very vibrant, often geometric, using natural colors. Tells stories of mythology and daily life. It's beautiful.
And sculpture seems big, too. Stone, metal, wood carvings of deities everywhere.
Especially in temples, yes. And the wood carving, particularly the traditional Nuwari style you see on windows, doors, temples in the Kathmandu Valley. It's breathtakingly detailed.
I can only imagine.
Then you have metalwork statues, ritual items, even traditional bowls and jugs. Pottery, too. Bhaktapur is famous for it, using old techniques.
And textiles. Dhaka fabric for the topis, the caps.
Right, that distinctive geometric pattern.
Yeah.
And luxurious pashmina, of course. And even fabric from nettle fiber called aloe. Very resourceful.
It's clear art isn't just decoration. It's woven into faith, tradition, everyday life. Okay, let's listen in metaphorically to music and dance the rhythms of life.
A good way to put it. Folk music is incredibly varied across Nepal. Different regions, different ethnic groups have their own sounds. Instruments like the madal drum, the sarangi violin, the bansuri flute are common.
And the Panche Baya, that 5-instrument ensemble.
Yes, often heard at weddings and festivals. But the tunes, the rhythms, the stories, and the songs, they change depending on where you are and who is singing.
And devotional music, bhajans and curtains in temples.
Exactly. Creates a very spiritual atmosphere during worship. There's also classical music influenced by North Indian traditions.
And modern stuff, too. Pop, rock.
Oh, yeah. Nepali pop, rock, folk pop are all popular. And Dahori, these folk duet songs, often improvised and witty, back and forth between singers. Very lively.
Sounds great. So a whole spectrum. And dance is just as varied. Classical forms like Charya Nritya.
Yes, a Buddhist ritual dance, and Kartik Nach, a dance drama. But then you have universe of folk dances.
Like the Laki dance with the demon mess.
That's a famous one. Then the graceful Maruni dance, Diuda from the far west, Tamang Selo with its drum beats, Gurung Rodi dances, Tharu stick dances. Honestly, almost every ethnic group has its own unique dances. It's integral to their identity and celebrations.
It really sounds like music and dance are just fundamental ways people express themselves and connect. Okay, let's talk about something everyone loves. Cuisine. Simple, healthy, flavorful is how the source puts it.
That's a fair description. And the absolute staple is Dal Bhat tarkari.
Right. Lentil soup, rice, curried vegetables.
Oh, exactly. It's what most people eat, often twice a day. Simple, nourishing, uses what's available.
And then momos. You can't talk about Nepali food without momos.
Definitely not. Those Tibetan-style dumplings, steamed or fried, filled with meat or veggies, are everywhere now. Incredibly popular.
They really are. And what about regional food? Nuwari cuisine.
Ah, yes, from the Kathmandu Valley. Very distinct. You have things like same bhaji, a platter with beaten rice and various savory accompaniments. Yomari steamed rice flour dumplings, often filled with molasses or coconut.
Ooh, sweet dumplings.
Yes. And chatamari, sometimes called Nepali pizza, a rice crepe with toppings. Really unique flavors.
Sounds fascinating. And sel roti, that sweet ring-shaped rice bread for festivals?
Yes, a special treat. And more traditional staples like dindo, a thick porridge, often buckwheat or millet, served with gundruk, which is fermented leafy greens.
Fermented greens. Interesting.
It has a unique tangy flavor. And thukpa, the hearty noodle soup, especially popular in colder regions.
Right. And you can't forget chia, the milk tea.
Never. Spiced milk tea, usually sweet. It's more than a drink. It's part of hospitality, social interactions.
And traditional drinks like raksi, chiang, tongba.
Roxy is a distilled spirit. Jang and tongba are fermented millet drinks. Tonga served warm. So the food really reflects the land and the diverse cultures.
From comforting staples to unique regional dishes.
Okay, let's look at the social fabric. Social structure and family values. Family is paramount, the source says.
Absolutely central. The joint family system, multiple generations living together, is still very common, though nuclear families are increasing in cities.
And respect for elders.
Huge. Touching elders' feet is a common sign of respect. And the standard greeting, namaste, with palms together, embodies that respectful attitude. That's really ingrained. The source also mentions the caste system officially abolished, but its legacy lingers socially sometimes.
Yes, that's an important piece of historical context. While illegal, some social vestiges unfortunately remain, particularly in certain areas or older generations.
Good to know. And community spirit.
Very strong, especially in villages. People really rely on each other. And gender roles, traditionally quite patriarchal, but that's evolving, especially in urban areas with more education and exposure.
So a society valuing family, community, navigating history and change. And Nepali hospitality. Atithi Devo Bhava, the guest is God.
That's a deeply held value. People are incredibly welcoming and generous to guests. It's something visitors always remark upon.
It really says a lot. Okay, what about how people dress? Dress and adornment.
For men, the traditional outfit is the darasuwal, that tunic top and trousers, often with a cloth belt, the patuka, and the dakatopi, the cap.
Very recognizable.
And for women, you often see the gunyucholo blouse and skirt, sometimes given when a girl comes of age, or the sari, worn elegantly with the patuka belt too. But again, huge variation.
Right, different ethnic groups have their own styles.
Exactly. Sherpa, Tharu, Nuar, Limbu, they all have distinct traditional clothing and ways of wearing it, often with unique ornaments. It's part of their identity.
And jewelry. Gold and silver seem important.
Very much so. Things like the pot necklace, glass beads, often worn by married women, the talari, another necklace for married women, bangles, traditional earrings, nose rings. It's often symbolic, indicating status or community.
So clothing and jewelry tell stories too. Now let's link it all back to the land. The influence of geography.
This is key to understanding the diversity. You have the high mountain regions. Cultures like the Sherpas and Bhotias have adapted amazingly to the altitude. And Tibetan Buddhism is a major influence there, logically.
Makes sense. Then the hill regions.
That's like the melting pot, a mix of Hindu and Buddhist influences. So many different groups living relatively close together. Brahmins, Chetras, Gurungs, Magars, Nuars, Tamangs, Race, Limbus. It's incredibly diverse.
A real crossroads.
Definitely. And then down south, the Terai Plains, bordering India. Unsurprisingly, there are strong cultural links with Indian states across the border. Groups like Tharas, Mathils, Bhojpuris share languages and customs.
So the geography really creates these distinct cultural zones.
Absolutely. It has shaped everything from livelihoods to beliefs over centuries. But now Nepal is also dealing with modern influences and preservation efforts.
Yeah, globalization, city growth.
Yeah.
It's changing things, right? Especially for young people in cities' lifestyle, fashion, food, social views.
It is. And that naturally brings challenges. How do you keep traditional arts, crafts, languages alive when the world is changing so fast? Migration is also a factor. People moving away can disrupt the passing down of traditions.
But people are trying to preserve things.
Yes, the source mentions efforts by government bodies and NGOs to document, promote, and safeguard cultural heritage. It's a constant balancing act, honoring the past while living in the present.
It sounds like it.
But overall, as the source highlights, Nepali culture is this incredibly rich, resilient mix. Tradition, harmony, art, community, it all comes together. It really shows how a culture can respect its history while still moving forward.
It's truly a fascinating mosaic. As we wrap up this deep dive, you really see how all these pieces, the faith, the languages, the festivals, the art, the social bonds, the very land itself, fit together to create this unique Nepali identity.
Absolutely. Which leads us to a final thought for you, the listener. Thinking about how deeply religion and daily life are intertwined in Nepal. How does that compare to, say, more secular societies you might know? What might be the strengths or maybe the challenges of each way of life? Something to mull over.